Francisco, it's Rex Broadcasting Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Let's get it on!
Everybody, this is Dave Meltzer. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours talking pro wrestling. We've got Bryan Alvarez here. We're going to try out something different this week. I'm going to do this some weeks when we don't have guests, which we're not going to have since we have not had a live show in a couple of weeks due to the last 2 weekends being pay-per-views. And we're going to be taking emails as well as your phone calls. You can email us at dave@wrestlingobserver.com throughout the show anytime, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. And, of course, you can call us at 1-800-878-PLAY, and we have a couple of lines available right now. We'll start getting to the calls in a couple of minutes. Bryan, how are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good. Bryan, we haven't been here since we haven't even talked since Cauliflower Alley, but Two interesting pay-per-views the last 2 weeks. The Pride show last week, the WWE Backlash show 2 weeks ago. And WWE Backlash show on our poll got, I think it was just about the best response of any WWE show in history, which surprised me. Not that it wasn't a good show, but I think that it's not the greatest show in the history of the company either.
Yeah, it was surprising to see that because, you know, when the show was over, I mean, there was nothing wrong with it, but it wasn't like it was over and I thought, God, that was the greatest show that I've ever seen. But I think it was like 0 thumbs down or something like that.
Yeah, 1 thumbs in the middle and like 345, some number like that, thumbs up.
Yeah, so I guess whatever makes people happy.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good show. I certainly couldn't, when it was over, it was like, with the Mick Foley match and with the three-way, it's like, you can't give it a thumbs down. But, I mean, I've seen shows with matches like that, WrestleMania 10.
Well, I can even see people complaining about, the fact that there was so much blood and gore and thumbtacks and everything as being a thumbs-down show for that reason. Like maybe 2 people, but we didn't get anybody.
Yeah, but everybody knew that ahead of time. Yeah. So it's like you can't really complain when they tell you that. But, the other thing is that you take those 2 matches out and it really, it wasn't like it was a show like Calgary Stampede or, WrestleMania 17 where it was, one good match after another. I mean, this was 2 great matches. The Christian and Jericho match was a good match. And the rest of it, was just not really nothing special at all.
Well, one thing I've noticed about shows that people give thumbs down to that we look at that and wonder how they could have possibly done that is it's often like the big shows like a WrestleMania where no matter how great the show was, I think there are always some people that expected a little bit more. And because they didn't get it, they give the whole show a thumbs down. But, yeah, this one was quite the show.
Now, did you know the Pride results when you watched the show last week?
I did.
You did not?
I didn't know anything going in.
Oh, so that
must have been watching Giant Sylvan. That was from you.
Yes, that must have been quite the experience watching that show.
It was, because, very rarely do you see everybody in the entire room freak out at the same time when me and my friends are watching it.
Oh, Mirko Krokop?
Oh, my God, when Krokop got knocked out, that was like...
That was the moment of the year.
It was. It was.
I mean, it's something that you don't see coming. It's one of those things where, I mean, it's going to happen when you have, real fighting.
Yeah.
Things happen, but I mean... something that nobody, who would have ever predicted? I mean, I'm not saying that Randleman couldn't win, because I knew that, he had a chance of winning because he's a great wrestler. But the idea that he would basically knock him out with a left hook?
Yeah.
I mean, boy, that one I
never in a million years predicted that.
Oh, yeah. I know. So what do you think coming out? Who's the strongest guy?
Now?
Of the guys that are left.
Nogueira
ahead of Fedor, huh?
Yeah.
Fedor looks awfully good to me.
I know, but I think Fedor's going to get to the point very soon where he gets cocky and somebody beats him, and I think Nogueira's past that.
Well, you may be right. Nogueira was pretty human until Yokoi got tired, though.
Yeah.
But anyway, we have got to head to a break right now. We're going to come back with more right after this. You'll listen to the rest on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly, and we're here every Sunday night from 8 to 10 Eastern, 5 to 7 Pacific Time on the Sports Byline Radio Network. And we were talking a little bit about the Pride show, of course, from last week, and the 8 winners advance to June the 20th, so, and then they'll have a couple other matches on that show. Going to be pretty busy June when it comes to pay-per-view. Between all the TNA shows every Wednesday, there's going to be 2 WWE pay-per-views. There's going to be the 13th and the 27th, and then Pride will be on the 20th, and UFC will be on the 19th. So no shortage of news that month.
Yeah.
Or at least no shortage of big shows. Bryan, tomorrow is Chris Benoit and Shawn Michaels on X.
And I'm already anticipating how they're going to screw up the ending.
In what sense? What were you meaning by that?
Well, I figure they're not just going to give us a clean finish here.
Oh, I'm sure they won't.
So I'm just trying to figure out who's going to interfere at some point. Because if you look at like the booking in the last 2 months or so, at least, like every single thing they've done is sort of made sense. Like even back when with Shawn pinned Benoit leading up to WrestleMania, that all made sense. They brought it back up 2 months later. So I figured I was trying to like look at everything and go, Shawn must have done something to somebody, and now that somebody's going to come back and do something, and overanalyzing it, I should just be expecting a good match.
Well, Triple H. Triple H is going to be there at the end.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's the thing. I'm really curious to see where they go for the next pay-per-view, because we did a thing on the website. We did a poll, and everybody wanted Triple H. I mean, not Triple H, but Benoit against Shawn. Benoit and Shawn. It would have made sense not to do this matchup for free on Raw first.
Yeah.
Especially since they've already done one match on TV before. So so that makes me think that they're not going to do Benoit against Shawn Michaels unless they do this match and do the turn of Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
And they can think it's a new match because it's Shawn Michaels as a heel this time against Benoit.
What about the ladder match?
Well, they can always do the ladder match. They've been saving it and saving it, so yeah, I guess you could do something where you could do that one. But if you do the ladder match, then it's pretty much only one match, because once you've done the ladder match, I don't think you really can bring it back.
Well, they've already done. I'm talking about a three-way ladder match.
Three-way ladder match?
Like they've already done three-way twice. Now they put the ladder in.
I don't know. They pretty much were billing that last three-way as the last three-way between those guys.
Yeah, but I can see them bringing up the ladder as a point to make people want to see it.
But if you do that, you don't want to do that till SummerSlam. You don't want to do that on one of these shows. Especially, I don't think Hunter's going to be wrestling on the next two shows.
No, that would certainly.
I don't know. It depends on his when he has to leave to do his movie.
Didn't that get bumped?
What?
Didn't that get bumped?
Yeah, he moved it back a little bit, but I don't think. I don't know. I'm not sure if he's going to do the June 13th show or not. I just had heard that he wasn't going to be main eventing June 13th. So I don't know when he leaves. Now, of course, the next WWE pay-per-view coming up is going to be SmackDown with Eddie Guerrero and John Layfield, Bradshaw, and I think that's going to be the lowest buy rate in 6-7 years.
Yeah, and you know why? Not just so much that it's John Bradshaw Layfield in the main event.
That's part of it, though.
I think if SmackDown were as hot as Raw and they had a weak main event, it wouldn't totally flounder. But SmackDown is so lame these days, plus they have a lame main event, and I think if you put all that together, I just can't see anybody wanting to buy it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, like you always talk to your friends and your casual fan friends about what they watch and, what they like, and, everybody's mentioning Rico. Like, everybody's talking about Rico, but nobody's going to pay to see Rico on the show, you know what I mean? It's like the perfect example of an angle or a guy that's getting people talking about him, but it means nothing.
Yeah, people are talking about Eugene, too.
Yeah, but no one's buying a show to see Eugene.
No, it's just part of the entertainment thing.
Yeah.
Something there. Let's go to Tom in Atlanta. Tom, you're first up.
Hey, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Very good. I was wondering if I could just shoot some, quick random questions at you that I wanted to get answered.
Sure.
Number one, did Jerry Lawler ever get that divorce from the cat?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's finalized by now, yeah.
Okay. Number two, is Jackie the first African-American female wrestler to win an individual title?
Sandy Parker, I know, had won some individual titles in California. So that would for sure be not true.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe the WWE Women's title, probably the first one.
Right.
But not the first African-American women's champion in wrestling, though.
All right. Number three, is Tommy Dreamer still employed with the WWE?
Yes, he is right now, but I don't expect it to last that much longer.
Okay. And finally, has Vince McMahon ever had any business dealings with Antonio Inoki, like promoter to promoter?
Oh, yeah. The McMahon family and Inoki...
I never hear Inoki mentioned at all.
Yeah, the McMahon family and Inoki worked together from the mid-'70s through about 85, 86 when they had a split of the ways over
that title thing?
From some tours and stuff. But Hisashi Shinma, who was the chairman of New Japan, was the figurehead president of the WWE before Jack Tunney.
Right.
So, yeah, the New Japan and WWF, New Japan and WWF had a long-standing relationship for, it would be, like 10, 11 years.
But nothing in the last, 15 years or anything like that?
Nothing directly since about 85 or 86 when the split was, other than they did all work together on a show in 1990 at the Tokyo Dome. All Japan, New Japan, and WWF all worked together at they called it the U.S. and Japan Wrestling Summit. But the New Japan guys did not work with WWF guys, whereas the All Japan guys did work with WWF guys. But yeah, since whenever that split was, 85, 86, there hasn't been a direct work with Inoki and WWF.
All right, that's all I got. Have a good night.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, we will, let's get a couple of emails. We're going to start with Ken Smith in Houston, Texas, who goes, in recent weeks you've had Gabe Sapolsky on the show, and he's denied RF. Rob Feinstein is still involved in Ring of Honor and RF video, yet he has seemed not to fork up any proof saying otherwise, and a semi-backlash began with the NWA TNA guys. Well, the NWA TNA thing was, they used that, but that's not really the reason, that they're not working for Ring of Honor. Has there been any forward progress with the ROH-RF situation? Has Gabe, Doug, Kerry, or anyone else forked up any proof saying that RF is not involved in the company? As far as documented proof, I haven't seen anything. The only thing I guess that you could say is close to proof was when Doug Gentry signed a statement, basically saying that, that he would be held personally liable if Rob Feinstein worked for the company or had ever worked for the company and had hurt TNA when TNA asked him to sign it. So he did sign that. So that would be, you could take that however you want to take it, but that's the closest thing to proof that I guess we have on that one.
What sort of proof they're looking for?
I would think something like, documentation on the Pennsylvania Business website.
Yeah.
Which sometimes, even if they provide it, often takes months to go up anyway.
If they have
not provided it.
Yeah, I think that they need to provide that.
I think that they should, absolutely.
I know that they've said a million times, well, we're a private company, we don't have to. Yes, you don't have to, but this question is going to come up until the end of time, until you do.
Exactly.
So you might as well just save yourself the trouble and provide it.
Yeah, I agree. Because if they provide it, all the questions go away.
Yeah, well, no.
No, I know that they don't.
They should.
But you're right, they won't. But, it's wrestling. You can't take everything at face value.
Yeah.
Boy, speaking of taking things at face value, how about fighting?
Ogawa?
You should have seen Bob Sapp the other night.
Well, I read your report on it, and that pretty much summed it up.
Well, they didn't take any chances this time, did they?
I guess not.
Yeah. Kimo was supposed to, Kimo was supposed to lose in their eyes. That's why they matched a guy who was considered a terrible striker against Bob Sapp. But no matter how bad you are, if the other guy blows up, a lot of people think, oh my God, Kimo knocked him down. Kimo's a better striker than we thought. It wasn't that Kimo knocked him down. It's that Bob Sapp was totally blown up, and I think anyone shoving Bob Sapp at that point would have almost knocked him down.
Yeah.
So, and then Kimo got tired, and Bob Sapp knocked his head off. That was a weird fight. They didn't take any chances this time, though. Anyway, we've got to head to another break. You can call us at 1-878-play, as well as we've got a ton of emails to get to. You're listening to the Wrestling Observer live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. And, of course, you can go to the website at www.wrestlingobserver.com. There's information on how to subscribe to both Wrestling Observer newsletter as well as Figure 4 that we both put out every week. And this week's Observer's got a long story on Ole Anderson. So if you listen to that show, you probably would want to pick up that issue. Talk about the book, talk a lot about wrestling in the 70s as compared to wrestling today. A lot of myths about both periods, the strengths and weaknesses of each period, and a little bit about the Hall of Fame as well. So it should be very interesting reading. And Bryan, what's in Figure 4?
Well, this week we have the big Pride Report. So all you fans of Giant Silva will have something to read. And if you order with our special this week, you also get the Cauliflower Alley Road Report, which came out the week before. So that was quite the fun trip.
You had a good time?
Well, I did after I'd recovered.
That was an interesting. Well, you were basically there for what, a day? A little over a day, right?
We were there for 42 hours.
Oh, that's 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, you left in a little over a day, right?
We were there for 42 hours.
Oh, that's 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, you left in the middle of the banquet. You missed Inoki.
You know, when I found out that Inoki was there, I was so sad.
Yeah.
I wish I would have. I don't know.
You should have arranged your travel a little bit better.
Huh?
You should arrange your travel a little bit better.
I know. Next year I will.
Yeah.
But there's certain people I want to see in wrestling, and Inoki is one of them.
Well, you get to see Danny Hodge.
Yeah. I didn't even see him stretch anybody, but
yeah.
Maybe next year I'll try and leg dive him.
Well, that'll be the end of your life.
Yeah. Let's survive. It'll be a good story.
That's true. That's true. Anyway, you can go to www.wrestlingobserver.com for info on both of those. You can also email us right now at dave@wrestlingobserver.com, or you can call us at 1-800-878-PLAY, and we're going to go to Alan in Deerfield Beach, Florida. Alan, what's happening?
Going?
That's going great.
Great. I wanted to ask you a couple questions. First off, Hercules Hernandez's daughter did some sort of an interview on a website, and she said that she had nothing nice to say about Hogan and Heenan. Do you know about both of them? Do you know what was between Hernandez and Hogan, or Heenan and Hogan?
I don't know.
Heenan and Hernandez, rather?
Yeah, I don't know.
Was there heat or what?
Not that I heard. I mean, it was funny because I had talked to her, and I had brought up Heenan just because I knew that Bobby Heenan and Nicole, which is Ray Fernandez's daughter,
right,
had met when Jessica Heenan and Nicole were they were about the same age, and they were in high school or maybe even middle school together, and they both were in Tampa, and they were. I don't think they actually competed in the same sport against each other, but maybe like one of them was in a sport and the other one was a cheerleader. But they crossed paths, and she had met Bobby Heenan, and I just brought it up, and she didn't say anything bad about Bobby Heenan to me, but so I don't know what the story is other than and this would have been like Nicole was probably
23, right?
23-ish, and this would have been when she was like 13. So
didn't Hogan and Hernandez go to high school together? Or is that a myth?
Hogan and Hernandez would not have gone to high school together. Hernandez went to, and I forget the name of the school. I know Hogan went to Robinson High School,
right,
Tampa, with Mike Graham and Steve Kern and Dick Slater. Right. Was in high school, but they were both Tampa guys, and they both went to the matches, and they both idolized Graham. So when they were, they may have crossed paths, even before wrestling. Although I never heard that they did. The one I heard that knew Hernandez or actually Ray Fernandez before wrestling was Brian Blair.
Right.
Never heard he knew Hogan before. I mean, they probably wouldn't have crossed paths in wrestling. It's possible, remotely possible, they might have been on a show in St. Louis because Ray worked the Kansas City territory in the early 80s, and Hogan may have come down from Minneapolis to work a St. Louis shot, but I'm not sure of that. So they may never have crossed paths until I don't think they would have crossed paths in Florida. So until they were both in the WWF.
Right. Well, I figured.
I don't know any stories as far as
what happened between them.
Yeah, what happened between the two of them? Maybe I mean,
some things happen.
A lot of people get I don't know if jealousy is the right word, but Hogan is Hogan, and sometimes he takes heat unrightfully, and oftentimes he takes it rightfully.
Right.
And I think maybe when Ray lost his job in WWE or WWF, maybe he thought Hogan should have gone to bat for him. Maybe Hogan didn't. Right. I mean, and it's all speculation. I really don't know.
You don't know what happened.
I never had heard of any heat between Ray Fernandez and Hogan or Heenan until that interview, so I don't know. Okay. I know that Ray Fernandez stayed away, even though he lived in Tampa.
Right.
He was not, really. He never really was around most of the wrestlers, and there are tons of wrestlers living in Tampa. He didn't socialize with any of them, as far as I know.
Right. I wanted to ask you also about Zbyszko and Bruno's current relationship, because when they were asked the question on Between the Ropes, Larry ducked it. He did not answer it directly. Do they get along? They don't? I don't know.
They're not best of friends by any means. I know Larry has talked to Bruno in the last couple of months, as it pertains to the lawsuit.
Yeah, what they fall out over? Money? You don't know?
I don't really know what they fell out over. I don't know that they've been close for a long, long, long time. I don't really have an answer.
That doesn't stem from the angle, right? No.
No, the angle was all staged. But,
right.
I don't know. Bruno, Bruno doesn't socialize with a lot of the wrestling people. I think he's probably still friends with DiNucci and some of the others, but
sure.
Bruno went his own way and he's not really, he doesn't really like being around the wrestling, I don't think, because wrestling changed. That's impression. I know that they're not best of friends, but it's not like they're not on speaking terms, and I know that they've talked, but I guess that's the best way to answer it.
Right, because Mike Lano said they hadn't spoken in 12 years. I don't know if you take his credibility or whatever.
I know that they were at a John Arezzi convention in 91, and they were supposed to it was supposed to be the big reintroduction or something like that, and they really were both pretty cold about it. I don't think either of them were that wanting to do it, I guess. But
was that because of real tension, or?
It seemed like it, yeah. But I know they've talked this year.
Sure.
So, I know that for sure.
Sure. And then one of those ask, is Benoit going to lose the belt rather?
Well, at some point.
Anytime soon. Next couple of months.
I don't think he's going to lose it in the next couple of months. I think he's going to lose it when the day comes when Hunter wants it back.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, if it's going to go right back to Hunter.
I would think so, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Let's go to Mark in Detroit. Mark, you're next up. Hello. Mark. Mark is not there. James in San Diego?
Hey, how you doing tonight, guys?
Doing really good. Is this James or Mark?
This is James.
Okay, what's going on?
I just have a question on some rumors I've heard over the last 2 or 3 months regarding NWA TNA.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that they want to sign a television contract with WGN.
That's out.
I heard
that's already out. They were negotiating, and they were pretty close, but they didn't want to. I think that ultimately the price they were going to have to pay for it was too high, and I think that's why they didn't make that deal.
So what's the deal with Fox Sports?
They're probably on Fox Sports at Friday at 3 p.m. starting in June. I mean, that's not 100% done, but it's pretty darn close.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Okay, let's get to some emails. Let's see what we have here. It's from John Kramer in Wichita. Whose idea was it to move the TBS Saturday show out of the Techwood Drive studio in 1989, shortly after the Turner buyout of Crockett Promotions? Was it Jim Hurd, Jack Petrick, or someone else higher up? I think that was a Jim Hurd decision. Did Ted Turner have to approve it personally? I don't think so. Why was the decision made? I think that the feeling was because Vince was doing arena shows for television, that the studio show was, kind of run its course, and it was an anachronism or whatever that word is of the past, and that they wanted to, and they thought Center Stage Theater was going to be this really cool spot, 700 people looks a lot better than whatever it was in the studio, that I don't know what it held, probably 50 or 100 people. So that was the idea there. And he goes, I didn't like Center Stage. Center Stage proved to be a problem when they couldn't for free fill 700 seats during the bad days of that company. And some of the buildings they used, like Cobb County Civic Center and Georgia Mountain Center, looked more bush league than the studio. Yeah, I always thought the Cobb County Civic Center, that was a funny thing. They had this big sign in the back of the Cobb County Civic Center that read Cobb County Civic Center. And I always thought that was, that's when Big Boss Man was in WWF doing being from Cobb County and playing kind of this redneck hick thing, and I thought it's really that big Cobb County sign, you know what I mean? It kind of made
damn Vince
seem kind of like that. So anyway, we've got to head to a break right now. We'll be back with more right. Call us at 1-800-878-PLAY or email us at dave@wrestlingobserver.com. We'll be back with more right after this. Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly, and we are going to go to the calls right now. We're going to go to Dustin in Arkansas. Dustin, what's going on?
How's it going?
Going pretty good.
First-time caller, so let me, first-time listener. I had a question. Just a couple quick ones. A question and a where are they now? I'm a huge Bret Hart fan, and am I wasting my time waiting on his appearance in the WWE anytime soon?
I think it can happen anytime soon. Someday, one appearance. I got to think there's a good shot it'll happen. Certainly not a sure thing, but nothing's happening. You know, it's nothing's going to happen on TV in the next month or two or something like that. That's for sure.
Okay. I was thinking maybe they held WrestleMania in Calgary. I mean, that seems like that'd be the perfect place to.
It's not really like it's you know. I mean, they had Backlash in Edmonton. They had Raw in Calgary. You know, I mean, him and Vince McMahon spoke after Raw. You know, they went out to dinner, they went to Vince's hotel room for dinner. And they spoke for an hour and a half, 2 hours. But and Vince gave him Vince. He's got an open invitation to come back if he wants to, but he had a serious stroke. And there's also some I mean, I don't think he wants to come back because what can he really do? You know, it's like everybody wants this thing. You know, it's like Kurt Angle the other day. You know, Kurt Angle was going like, I want to wrestle Bret Hart at next year's WrestleMania. Well, Bret Hart wants to wrestle Kurt Angle at next year's WrestleMania, but he had a serious stroke. He can't do it.
Yeah.
And I think that, unless you've been around someone with a serious stroke, I don't think that a lot of people, for some reason with the Bret Hart thing, I guess nobody comprehends that when I say serious stroke. It almost frustrates me. I think people go, wouldn't it be great if Bret died? Shawn Michaels and do this and this. And it's like, he had a serious stroke. I mean, it's a miracle that the guy can drive a car. Don't expect him to be going in the ring and doing something athletic.
You know what I was thinking the other day when I heard the whole Kurt Angle thing was that I think that Kurt, like, his life, he's had a broken neck, won a gold medal, broke his neck again, got surgery, came back.
Way too soon.
Yeah, I think that he doesn't even think that a serious stroke is serious. I think he got a serious stroke, he'd be back in the ring in 6 months.
Well,
I mean, it's the only thing that I can fathom because he keeps asking for this match over and over again.
He would be. I'm one. Yeah. I mean, they talk on the phone. You know what I mean? And I mean, I think that maybe Kurt actually this last time said it just because he was on a TV show in Canada and kind of wanted to plug Bret. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, when he first called, I mean, for this year's WrestleMania, I mean, he called Bret and personally asked him, it's my dream. I want to wrestle you at WrestleMania. And Bret's was, it's my dream to wrestle you too. Bret Hart thinks Kurt's like one of the greatest wrestlers there's ever been, but it can't happen. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
I was also wondering, just a couple of guys you don't ever hear about anymore. Tony Schiavone, Mike Tenay, the old WCW announcer.
You don't hear about Mike Tenay. Mike Tenay announces every Wednesday. Mike Tenay's been a guest on the show many, many times. Probably will be again in the next couple of weeks. Mike Tenay announces for NWA TNA on pay-per-view every Wednesday night. Tony Schiavone is doing, I think, the pre- and post-game shows for the Atlanta Braves on WSB in Atlanta right now, doing baseball, which he likes baseball a lot more than he likes wrestling. In fact, he actually hates wrestling.
Does he really?
Well, he does now. I mean, at times, he didn't growing up. I mean, he was definitely a wrestling fan growing up, but he grew to hate it, yeah.
Okay. And finally, I heard the other day that Ted DiBiase passed away a while back. I'm sure I told you.
Absolutely not true.
Not true?
Absolutely not true. Ted DiBiase is in Japan. I'm pretty sure as we speak right now he's a manager for the IWA promotion.
So somebody's a lying sack of crap in my life.
Somebody has definitely gotten some information wrong because Ted DiBiase is very much alive.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're very welcome, Dustin. Okay, we're going to go to Armando in Yuma, Arizona. Armando, what's happening?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Doing really good.
I just had a couple of questions. I wanted to ask Bryan how his trip was to Vegas and how great it was, how it would have shown up after getting kicked out wearing a mask.
That would have been the greatest thing of all time.
Oh, Chavo coming back under a mask?
Yeah. I really believed that when I first heard it and saw the mask guy.
The mask guy was too small.
I know, but that would have been great.
That would have been the greatest, let me tell you.
Yeah. Chavo Guerrero Sr. That was he made quite the spectacle of himself at Cauliflower Alley.
He did.
Yeah.
I expected so much more out of Chavo.
Yeah, it was really kind of sad. But Chavo Guerrero Sr. has always been, he's always been his worst enemy. It's really a sad thing because in the 70s, I grew up watching Chavo Sr. wrestle, and that guy, for his time, he was one of the best there was. And a lot of people remember it, but unfortunately his legacy didn't last because, by about 80, 81, he had gotten so many enemies that, outside of Japan, they didn't really, not that many people really wanted to book him. And, his career never had the longevity and was never really the career that his talent, should have, taken him to, or the level that his talent should have taken him to.
Yeah.
Anything else, Armando?
No, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Okay, very welcome. This is from Timothy Drake, who goes, who was the biggest star of the 20s? Who was the best wrestler in terms of skill? Most people pick Ed Lewis as the answer to most questions, but an increasing number of historians now make the case for Joe Stecker. I know Joe Stecker was a great wrestler, but how was he as a draw? Bryan, you want to try that one?
No.
Okay. Ed Lewis would have been the biggest star of the 20s. I think that, by the end of the 20s, Gus Sonnenberg was probably a bigger draw, but that would have been probably by about 29. But, during that was kind of a mythical period in American culture, with Babe Ruth and who was the boxer, Jackie, and Bobby Jones, the golfer, but these kind of guys that became larger-than-life people, and Ed Lewis was the wrestling guy of that era. As far as Ed Lewis and Joe Stecker, I don't know if there's anybody alive who's actually wrestled both, and even if they did, they were both workers. Clearly both were good shooters. As far as who was the better, I have no clue, and I don't know that anyone has a clue. They supposedly did shooting matches, but who the hell knows?
The DVD that Dragon King Press puts out.
What?
The DVD that Dragon King Press put out? It's like I can't even remember the match, but it was so awesome. It was Joe Stecker and somebody.
It was Joe Stecker and O'Cadic. That wasn't Lewis.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was awesome.
Was it really?
Oh yeah, you haven't seen it yet?
I have never seen that match. No.
Really?
Is it a shoot or a work?
When I watched it, I thought that it was a shoot because it was just too good.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. No, I've never seen that match.
There were certain things in it, like he did his.
In that time, the Stecker-Caddick match that you're talking about, in its time, was considered like the greatest, like a Jack Briscoe-Dory Funk match.
Oh yeah,
I would the greatest match of its time.
I would totally agree with that.
Really?
And I think it was a shoot because there were a bunch of other matches on the DVD too, from some from that era and some from all the way up to the 50s. And just like the difference between that match and the other matches is like night and day.
Really?
So these guys were either like two of the greatest workers that this world has ever seen.
Okay, how could they be better? Working gets better as time goes on. How could they be that much better than the guys who came 10 years later?
Yeah.
I suppose it's possible, but I'm just saying that it's unlikely.
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
I would say it's a shoot, but like you said, nobody's ever going to know for sure.
No one's ever going to know. No one's ever going to know for sure. I'll tell you what, that tape has been debated by a lot of people. Again, I've never seen it, so I don't offer an opinion on it.
Yeah.
As far as who was better, Lewis or Stecker, it was who had the political power at the time. I don't know. They had a match in 1916 that went like 5 hours to a draw. And Lewis, who told Fez, and that would be the closest thing to firsthand that we're going to get. He said that was a shoot. And based on the description and the fact that they went 5 hours.
Well, if you're going to go 5 hours, I can't imagine that being a work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Especially because it was considered a horrible, horrible match.
Yeah.
If you're going to do
work, you're not going to go 5 hours,
Yeah.
Unless you're out of your mind.
But again, here's the thing. A lot of people will offer opinions without, when it comes to that period, all I can say is that, not only do I not know, but all the people who think they know, they don't know either.
It's impossible to know.
Yeah, the only people who know are the people who are dead.
Yeah.
So, but okay. So anyway, let's get on with that. We're going to go to Eric in Syracuse. Eric, what's going on?
Hey guys, how you doing tonight?
Doing really good.
I just got a couple quick questions pertaining to tomorrow's Raw and then the possible main event of the Raw pay-per-view in June.
Okay, they can do it because I don't think that they do.
They don't know. I thought maybe they were going to go with Michaels and Benoit, and maybe a ladder match of some sort.
They may. I mean,
I didn't know if they were going to use tomorrow night to start a HBK heel turn or something, just with the way they promoted it for the last couple weeks.
I mean, I've been thinking that they need to do that for, since WrestleMania, really.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities as far as like storylines for other guys that he could possibly put over.
Yeah.
They did use that one Hunter and Sean match from like December to set up Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
So it could be the same.
I just figured that with the way that they've been, hyping this for 2 weeks and figuring that Benoit's not going to lose the title, that they need to do something kind of big tomorrow night. I figured this would be the perfect time for a HBK heel turn, if they throw Flair out of Evolution and plug Sean into his spot or something.
I think it's too early to throw Flair out of Evolution. Although, I mean, at some time it has to happen.
Yeah.
I think Sean should be separate from Evolution.
Yeah, I do too, but who knows with him and Hunter, the way they run things, who knows what the hell they want.
Well, yeah, I don't see a breakup in the Evolution group right now, but the thing also is that, Hunter's going to be gone for a while.
Right.
Not right away, but, he's got to do the movie, so he's going to be gone for about a 5-6 week period. That's another reason why you would probably want to get Sean as a strong heel, because if not, if it's not Sean, I mean, the most likely guy to get the shot at Benoit right now would be Randy Orton.
Right.
And I don't know. Sean's going to be better for business than Randy Orton. Sean as a heel versus Benoit is a better business match, I think, right now.
That's what I was figuring, that they almost had to go with it for the pay-per-view, because if it's called, if it's Bad Blood again, you're not going to put two faces in there again in your main event slot, especially since they've been doing it as faces for the last 3 months.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just figured that they might be setting up a heel turn. Do you know how much time they're going to give them tomorrow night? Are they going between 20 and 30 minutes for them tomorrow? Or?
I don't know, but I would presume that they'll go about 20 minutes, because that's what they've been doing for a lot of the main events the last month.
Yeah.
They've been some really long main events and some really good. Those Raw main events have been good. Brian, what do you think of Monday's match?
Which one was it?
It's Benoit and Edge and Flair and Batista. The second one where the Edge speared Flair.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I think they've had a lot better matches.
I really liked Monday's. I thought it was better than the week before.
Yeah.
What's your best guess on how they're going to book finish tomorrow night?
I have no idea.
If you were booking it, how would you book the finish?
I guess off the top of my head, I would do the turn, and I would probably, it would probably wind up being a DQ finish, or Benoit. Well, I hate DQs, but I wouldn't want anyone to beat the crossface and then have him turn afterwards. But I would have a turn and a violent turn.
Yeah, that's what.
And not.
Maybe Benoit could beat him on a fluke, and then he does the violent turn, and then you could at least say, okay, they're one each.
Yeah.
And then the rubber match at the paper.
But I mean, it's got to be a violent, it's got to be a real violent deal, with the turn and I mean, I guess that's right off the top of my head. But I would love to sit and think about that one for a while, though, because that's actually would be fun, because with those two guys, I mean, like, whatever you put together, the one thing I would say is that unless Sean loses his temper, and he hasn't done that lately, the actual putting it together, or what you put together, it was as far as execution. All right?
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, very welcome. Okay, we'll be right after this. Listen to Wrestling Observer live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, with Bryan Alvarez, Figure 4 Weekly, and you can call us at 1-800-878-PLAY. We'll get to some phone calls. In the second hour, we're going to go to a couple of emails until the break. This is from Dave Graham in Ottawa, who goes, is Bret Hart going to appear on the Bret Hart DVD? That is being worked on maybe not as we speak, but that is being worked on. It's certainly, again, no agreement has been made, but it's certainly a possibility. It's not even a sure thing that there will be a Bret Hart DVD, but certainly Vince McMahon wants there to be one, and Bret Hart wants there to be one, so there probably will be one. Whether he'll be on it, it just depends on really what they're going to say about Montreal. I think is like the big thing when they address that subject, because that's a very important subject, and I don't think Bret Hart will go on the DVD with a whitewashed version of that one. And maybe they might have to address Owen's death as well. So it's not as easy as you think, but it could happen. What is the main event for SummerSlam going to be as of now? Benoit against Hunter, probably. And you think Bret Hart will appear at SummerSlam? I would say probably not. Possible, but I don't think so. We'll do one more before we head to the break. It's actually more of a comment from Derek Bedard, who goes, I was wondering what the plans for the future after this for WWE. Beats me. Because John Layfield can't draw a dime, and he sucks. And Eddie's being wasted in this. Hey, we think the same thing. I really hope they would do something with him. I can expect your impact then Layfield and Eddie and show that it's not Eddie's fault. Okay, so that's our last comment. You can email us at dave@wrestlingobserver.com, and of course call us at 1-800-878-PLAY. We're right.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of the Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Let's get it on!
Hey, welcome back to the second hour here on Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We'll be here for the next hour talking pro wrestling, taking your phone calls as well as your emails. We got a couple of lines open at 1-800-878-PLAY, and we will start taking some more phone calls after our first commercial break. We go to a couple of emails. Up until that point, we got a million of those. Let's start with Chad Gallon, who says, I'm going to be attending the June 27th Bash pay-per-view. I want to know if you know what the planned main event for the show is going to be. I don't know. I don't even know if they have. Let's see, that's SmackDown. Boy, I don't know if they know.
Eddie and Bradshaw again.
I can't go through with that.
Some sort of stipulation.
Yes. This is Aaron from Montana who goes, wondering how come WWE didn't bother to mention the passing of Hercules or Jack Tunney on their television shows. They both put a lot of time in the WWE and at least deserve something. They showed a video for Sapphire when she died. Hercules, the reason I believe that they didn't talk about him was because his death was the same week as the USA Today story, and I think that they knew when the USA Today story was coming out, and I think that they didn't want to mention it. And there have been a lot of deaths late in the last year, and they didn't mention Mike Lockwood's until the end of the year either, and he had worked for them just recently, Crash Holly. And Jack Tunney, I think they felt, I guess there was a falling out at the end between them and Jack Tunney, and it was fairly bitter, and
then he died, and the falling out was such they decided not to mention him.
I guess because whatever it was, they sure didn't mention it. And I mean, they didn't even mention it in the year-end thing. At least with Crash Holly at the end of the year they did. And if they do a year-end thing this year, which they may or may not do, they may mention Hercules. They may not. I don't know. This is from Derek in Las Vegas, who goes, are Bill Goldberg and Steve Austin going to fight in Japan? Bill Goldberg's fighting in Japan Saturday. Steve Austin probably will wrestle in Japan. Against each other, probably not. Is Sean O'Hare going to go to TNA? Possibly. Sean O'Hare's wrestling tonight in Tokyo, at the Tokyo Dome. Isn't that the weirdest thing?
Semi-main event.
How is that possible?
Well, he's a big American,
but they don't even know him.
He once beat Hulk Hogan, according to their. Did he?
I think it was like counted or something.
Maybe he did. I just remember hearing that.
I think
he ever beat him?
Someone will tell us for sure what happened. It was on a SmackDown right before Hulk Hogan left, and not right before Hulk Hogan left. It was Mr. America.
Yeah.
And what's up with Canyon? Let's see. Canyon is officially a free agent. He was released by WWE, but he was still getting paid. So actually, his last check is supposed to come in a week from today. So after that, he should be free and clear and ready to go somewhere. Wouldn't be surprised to go to TNA, although I know that he has talked about not wanting to get into another business because wrestling is such a, he's probably 32, 33 years old, and I think he knows that he's got a finite time left in wrestling, so he wants to start some other business for life, but he wants to still do wrestling, when, on his free time. So, I mean, he'll be around doing wrestling, but I don't know if he wants to do it full time. And, let's see, what else we have here? Steve Cash, who goes, can you explain why the 1997 Starrcade match with Hogan and Sting went down like it did?
No.
Because Nick Patrick was supposed to do a fast count and he didn't, and you can only speculate as to why, but I think we all know. So anyway, we're going to go ahead to a break right now. We'll be back with more right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. Got a bunch of calls, tons of emails. I got this huge stack of questions here, but we're going to go to Fred in Topeka, Kansas. Fred, what's going on?
Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you?
I was at that Raw event here in Topeka this last Monday.
Oh, yeah, Monday night. How was that?
Well, it was pretty wild. The first time I've ever been to a live event like that with, for Raw or WWE.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to ask you a question. I wasn't sitting too far away from Harley Race. How in the world did they get him to cooperate with Orton spitting him in his face? I mean, I almost walked out of the event because I've watched Harley Race, throughout his whole career. How in the world did they get him to do that?
I think that Harley felt that, anything to help, probably Bob Orton Sr. may have helped Harley at some point, or maybe not, I don't know, but,
Yeah.
I think it was just Harley's way of helping Randy Orton, and just, he's not going to be wrestling again in New York, so if he looks bad, it's not really...
Right.
It doesn't hurt his marketability. He's always going to be Harley Race. I mean,
that's true.
A year from now, when if Harley Race is going to Japan or whatever he does to make an appearance, no one's going to remember this. But if this helps Randy Orton this week, and people hate Randy Orton for it, then I don't have a. Wrestling doesn't protect the legacies of its older wrestlers very well.
I don't.
And it's sad.
They are wrestling, though.
Yeah, it's sad that they don't. But when you realize that the minute everyone that goes to WWE at some point or another is going to have to be humiliated, and it's just a question of when. And his only role to them, I think that it was to be humiliated. So
there was a lot of people around me commenting on that. They all about walked out too. But I'm glad I stayed for the main event just to see Rick Berger's tail kick. But
yeah, when I watched it, my initial reaction was, it's really sad that they bring Harley Race out here and they don't honor him and all that. But as the week went on, the thing I started thinking is, I'm sure Harley loved it, being in the spotlight one last time. So if he's not upset about it. We all know his show, but just for him to just see that happen right in front of you, not against you. I don't like them, a guy like Race who, wrestled for over 30 years and did so much for the business. Yeah, I don't like them being humiliated, and it doesn't get me excited and all that, but I don't know. There's bigger problems in wrestling than that, than someone who willingly did it.
That's true. I'm just curious what your reasoning behind it was. I think I enjoy your show, and thank you.
You're very welcome. Let's go to Jeff in Virginia. Jeff, what's going on? Hello there. Steve in Virginia. Steve.
Anybody in Virginia?
Is anyone there? No one is there. All right, we are going to go to an email. Let's see. Is it just me, or has WWE become way too pro-American? They seem to forget that the first W stands for world. Yes, they do, don't they? I think that, they're on all over the world, but they, their primary, let's see, probably 80 to 85% of their income comes from the United States, and they all live in the United States, and they're very United States-oriented. And the Hirohito thing is the perfect example, because, they're very big in Japan, and this thing is not going to go over very well in Japan.
No.
And I'm sure the French probably don't love, although they're not big in France. If they were, they would not love them this week. And they certainly have insulted Canada a couple of times for, only the stupidest of reasons. But anyway, it says on SmackDown, Michael Cole constantly talks about how Rene Dupree is a coward like the French army. Can't they get over it? They have no other way to push Rene Dupree in their minds, so they can't get over it. Evil Hirohito getting revenge on the U.S. Doesn't he realize he's a little late? Yeah. Anti-American French Canadians feuding with a mentally challenged character. Hey, you know what, though? I shouldn't say this, because in 2 weeks, it's a week from Monday when we do, that's in San Jose when they do the Eugene Dins, Rob Conway match. I have a feeling that I'm going to hate that match because I've seen those guys wrestle so many times.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to be it'll be the worst one that they ever had too.
It's too bad too, because it is a good idea to have Eugene be Eugene until he gets in the ring, And then he's nicknamed more.
It ain't happening.
No, it's not.
But, they worked over the weekend. Oh, I thought that the idea that he's Rain Man and he has a special talent, and then he goes in the ring and he's this, Chris Benoit-like wrestler, I think that would be really cool, but, they don't think like that. And, they had him run around with a stick horse, not knowing what to do.
And I mean, that's
at the weekend shows.
Funny once. But who's going to want to watch Eugene running around with a stick horse every Monday night on Raw?
Well, for comic relief, people get into those kind of characters. They're easy, they're easy to get over, but they can never get over past a certain level.
Yeah, but there's 100 guys that could go in the ring and have a bad match. It's comedy, you know what I mean?
Oh, no.
Why does that have to be mixed in more?
Yeah, I know. No, I agree with you. Why don't you take a really charismatic
Bane.
guy and who can't work a lick and give them this character as opposed to giving guys actually a really good wrestler this character? Yeah, I agree. I don't really understand that either. Let's see. Have you spoken to Brock? No, I have not. Sign with anyone soon? A football team, not any wrestling organization. Are there any new big promotions getting ready to start up in the U.S.? No. How long will Triple H be out? I'm not sure how long. I'm not sure how long the movie's going to be. 4 weeks? 5 weeks, maybe?
A couple of weeks?
Like 5 weeks, probably a month or so. I mean, it's not going to be gone for like 3 months or anything like that. Let's see. Daniel Estrada. What were the original plans for WrestleMania 14 if Bret Hart was still around? Would the main event have been Austin against Michaels, or would it have been Hart against Austin? If it was Austin Michaels, then who would Bret be wrestling? There's really no way of knowing, although a scenario was proposed to Bret Hart the week before he left, which would have been that Bret Hart loses to the title to Steve Austin at WrestleMania. So that was certainly a plan. Whether that would have been the plan when they got to WrestleMania, who knows? I mean, the plan for WrestleMania in '97 was Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels for the title, and then February came, and Vince panicked and decided he wanted a title on Sid Vicious and had the Undertaker challenge for it. And then Shawn Michaels decided that he didn't want to lose it, and we ended up with WrestleMania 17, which I guess wasn't that bad because in the long run, that was the greatest thing that ever could have happened to him was that Bret Hart-Steve Austin match, other than for the buy rate, right?
Well, yeah, but I think whether that match had ever taken place or not, everything would have still happened.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying that, like, the Steve Austin phenomenon would not have happened, but still, that was the match, though.
Yeah, it was.
That was just that was, and I don't know that he would have had that match with anyone else, because he never did. And he wrestled everyone else in the world. Steve will tell you that's the best match of his career.
Yeah.
And he wrestled Shawn, and Shawn was a great wrestler, and Foley was great, but I would say, that match.
Well, yeah, but his, are you talking about the WrestleMania match with Shawn?
No, I'm just talking about any match. He wrestled Shawn many times.
Oh, yeah, they had that King of the Ring and some other stuff.
They wrestled on that pay-per-view, that was supposed to be Bret and Shawn, and then Austin had to go in because Bret hurt his knee.
Yeah, that was King of the Ring.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what direction WWE 24/7 is looking to go as far as programming or price? They're looking at themed programming, based on a guy or something like that, or maybe a concept like ECW. It would be, was it 20 hours a month? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I think it's 20 hours.
You would pay 20 hours a month, and I think it would be, they're looking at somewhere between $6 and $9 as the purchase price was the last that I heard. That's from Emily in Philadelphia. Let's see. I heard a rumor Suzuki Sasaki is being considered to play the bodyguard for Kenzo Suzuki. Any truth to this? Well, there was truth to it a week ago, and there is no truth to it today. They have gotten somebody else. Kensuke wasn't going to come full time, so it made no sense.
The only reason it made no sense.
No. Yeah, I know that would have been something, wouldn't it? Yeah. Anyway, we're going to head to a break right now. We'll be back with more right after this. You listen to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline. Hey, welcome to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. Looking for the latest in wrestling news, you can go to www.wrestlingobserver.com. We have daily news updates plus info on how to get both the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which I put out every week, and Figure 4 Weekly that Bryan puts out every week. Got the latest in wrestling news, in-depth, all kinds of stuff going on. This coming issue, Works and Shoots. That's next week's issue. Gonna have a big story on that. That should be fun, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
The feedback will be fun as well.
Oh, I'm sure it will be. I had a fun week. Isn't that, the worst part was, nobody read what I wrote about this Pride show yet, and so people probably would have gotten the issue yesterday, and most people will get it on Monday. People were so mad at me for what I wrote the week before because I was right. You know what I'm referring to?
Huh?
You know what I'm referring to, the Ogawa-Stefan Leko match. I think people were really upset because, if I had written it afterwards, it means I wrote the week before that match that Ogawa was winning. So, that I had been told Ogawa was going to win. It's going to be a work match. Now, I wrote this before the match ever took place.
Mm-hmm.
And Ogawa ended up winning the match. And boy, were people mad that I wrote that.
How dare you?
Well, I don't know. I went out on a limb. What if Leko had won? I would have looked like a real fool, huh?
Yeah.
Wonder why I wrote that. Why I would set myself up for something like that. And Kyle in Minneapolis, or St. Paul, is up next. Kyle, what's going on? Kyle?
Hey, I can't believe anybody would be mad at you for reporting the truth. That's silly.
Some people can't handle the truth.
Yeah, I don't like the truth, but I don't blame you for reporting it. So
I'll tell you something. I'm not going to go and say that match was worked, but I will say this. Anyone who thinks absolutely there's no chance that match was worked and that it absolutely was a shoot has to be incredibly naive.
Yeah.
Especially because I wrote what I wrote a week before the match ever took place and, and was pretty detailed about it. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
And I think...
I'll say more, but I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I couldn't agree more. I wouldn't bet my house against that being a work, obviously. And to anyone that when I read the feedback the next day and people saying that how you could not vote that as the worst match on the show, even with Giant Silva on it, I thought that was by far worse. And it's my thoughts on how bad it is for business in America. That sport will never be mainstream. As long as people can go, well, yeah, but what about those nuts in Japan? That's why K1 gets, labeled as a headhunting, murderous sport when it's just kickboxing.
Yeah. And it's a freak show.
Yeah.
It's freak show kickboxing.
But real quick, I should say, too, Carl will kill me if I don't mention that you can get that DVD Bryan was mentioning earlier with Earl Caddick versus Joe Stretcher at DrakeWrestling.com. Just click on store, and it's only $15. It's a hell of a deal. You also get an Ed Strangler Lewis match and 2 early Lou Thez matches. So for $15, it's quite a deal.
Yeah, well, that Caddick match is, I believe, the oldest professional wrestling match available.
That's what I've heard, too, yeah.
Yeah, they had films of, the Gotch Hackenschmidt, but nobody's seen them, so, they're probably, been destroyed and somebody moved and threw it away or something. Can you imagine, speaking of which, people throwing away, videotapes and taping over stuff, if all those people in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s had any foresight, but then again, how would they? Why, you can't see into the future. Some of those promoters would have collections worth millions now.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Vince would, and other people, DVD companies would love to buy that stuff up.
Oh, yes, especially now, yeah. And it would probably be worth even more down the line.
It's funny, I'm also a big Doctor Who fan. It's the exact same thing there. They filmed 260 episodes, or full stories, and only 109 still exist on tape because the BBC even just tossed them out. There was, nothing to do with them in the 70s.
I can't even fathom such a thing because I remember, when I was a kid and we did backyard wrestling and we filmed it, I couldn't even fathom taping over anything that I'd filmed.
Yeah, but
is that hard to go get a new tape?
Well, yeah, but the cost to store it when there were only 4 networks, there was no time to ever air it. There was nothing to do with it. There was no VHS tapes to sell. And who saw any of that technology coming?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can't. But in the 70s, by the late 70s, people had VHS machines.
Right.
And there was still a lot of that footage was not saved. Early 70s, I think that, again, you're thinking far in advance, but I know in the early 70s that you knew that there would be VCRs. It's like I think that they would have them, but they were so expensive that, but you knew that sooner or later that was going to be something that you had. But, who was to say? Vince Sr., I think, was the only one that saved the tapes. I I guess Vern saved some of his old tapes, and Eddie Graham. Because those are the only really, people who have a lot, the really good collections, I think.
Right, but I mean, even say until '74, you didn't see cable coming, and you really didn't know what VHS, was going to do. You didn't know there'd be a big retail, rental market, because realistically, until the late '80s, it didn't come into a thing where most average people could purchase VHS tapes for their house.
Yeah.
And to store all those tapes and the way you had to take care of them to make sure they stayed, those tapes, the master tapes, the film they used were expensive. I just can see them throwing them out. Yeah, obviously they're all kicking themselves now.
Yeah, well, most of them are dead.
Well, that's true.
The sons and daughters are kicking themselves.
Right, yeah. I want to talk about that K1 pay-per-view real quick. How come the people that get on those suck so bad?
What?
Why don't they ever put any money into that show? I mean, the referees have no idea what the rules are half the time. Like that first match where the ref called the fight and then said, no, it was just a count.
Strange.
The announcers stink. You think they could go get, like Steven Quadros?
He was there.
But yeah, see?
I mean, he was at the show. I don't have an answer. K1's very strange.
Yeah.
The Bob Sapp match was quite interesting too.
The only thing on that one is when Glenville tried to get back up, I don't think he had his feet underneath him.
Yeah.
And I can see stopping it for that. Again, it's one of those things with Bob Sapp, they're going to take the first out. I don't think they told Bob Sapp that was going to be a work because he looked way too worried going in.
You know what though? Okay, in boxing, okay.
Yeah.
In the old time when they did work fights, they never told the guy who was going to win.
Well, right.
They only told the guy who was going to lose. Because the guy who was going to win had to be working his hardest to win.
Yeah.
And the other guy just had to take one punch and go down. No, I don't think that. Yeah. The problem with Bob Sapp is that he's such a big celebrity that he never has time to adequately train.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like hearing about his schedule. And it's like, he's doing stuff all the time. He's getting his 4 or 5 hours of sleep. He's trying to get his meals in. And, like, the rest of these guys that he's going against, I mean, these guys just live, they live in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it's like, even though he's got that great size advantage and certainly no skill advantage, I mean, he's going against finely honed guys, that are, razor sharp. And he's, going in there, nowhere close to the best that he could be playing, and plus he doesn't have the skill anyway.
Right. Well, look at a guy like Crow Cop, and how, with just going in 70%, and he loses, how would Sapp get enough time to train?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with Crow Cop, I don't think that was the training, though. I think that the guy just got caught, and it was a great strategy going in, because with Crow Cop, if it had been the training, that would show up like 8-10 minutes into the fight.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So the fact that Crow Cop, I'm sure, wasn't at his best, I think, between doing the movie and Parliament work and all that, I think that the deal there, I just think that they went out there and, like Randleman said, Mark Coleman was studying the videotape and he found the spot and they set up the spot and he got whacked.
Right. What's funny was when he started talking and he goes, let me explain my strategy. I almost started laughing. I thought, Kevin Randleman's got a strategy.
But he did.
A good one. Yeah, and then he did. He's like, give him a strategy, and I went, oh my God, he's right.
And he said it's the first time he ever listened to Mark Coleman.
Yeah.
Because, he goes in he always has a strategy. The only thing is that the minute the bell rings, he just starts fighting like they think. And that's why a guy as talented as he is has lost some fights that, he deserved to, that he, should have won.
Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned that Pedro Hizzo-Randleman match. I was there. That brought back terrible memories when you mentioned that in the Observer this week.
Pedro Hizzo and Kevin Randleman were freaking cursed.
Oh.
Because the first one didn't even happen because Kevin Randleman
slipped, yep.
He slipped backstage and knocked himself out the day, like backstage before the main event, so there's no main event. Then they come back with a rematch, and that one Pedro got knocked out, right? But he got headbutted and kind of like got knocked silly. So Pedro was in a different world, and it was just like, and Kevin didn't do anything, and they just had this horrible fight.
The only time I've seen fans throw trash in the ring.
Ken Shamrock, Dan Severn in Detroit. I was there. Yeah. Oh my God, was that horrible? And people were throwing trash in the ring at that one too.
Well, I always loved it on the pay-per-view too. You could see in the middle of the 5th round fans streaming out of the building.
Oh, God. Yeah, yeah.
When they leave during the main event, that's usually a bad sign.
Yeah. Well, that was a bad main event.
Speaking of guys that had good strategies, though, on that K1 pay-per-view, how about Gary Goodrich?
Oh, just like let the guy blow up?
Yeah, I thought for sure. Now that was what I thought. Okay, he's taking the dive. Wait for the first good punch and then go down. But
Gary was going to go down?
I thought he was. The way he wasn't throwing any punches and just keeping his hands up. I didn't think he was
though, for real.
Yeah, it was. Well, it certainly was. I'm just saying. It ended up being a great strategy. At first, I was thinking, he's just going to let him knock him out, and it turns out to be this brilliant strategy, and he wins.
Yeah, well, Toa didn't have enough training time, so it was guaranteed that he was gonna get tired. And yeah, Gary had perfect strategy. Gary Goodrich is so charismatic. It's just too bad that if he was a good worker, and that guy was tailor-made for pro wrestling.
Yeah.
With his talk and everything. Anyway, Kyle, we got to get out of here, okay?
You guys have a good night.
Okay, thanks very much, Kyle. We will be back with this Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline. Hey, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly, and we're going to go to the lines. We'll go to Steve in Virginia. Steve, what's going on?
What's up, brother? Can you hear me this time?
I hear you fine.
Rock on. Hey, I was wondering, what happened to just Joe? I saw him on a couple of TNA shows.
Joe Legend, they just stopped using him.
Really? Because that guy, I was entertained by him in the late 90s or maybe early 2000s.
When he was just Joe?
Stirring up trouble backstage in WWE.
Yeah, he obviously didn't get along or something there because they didn't do much with him at all.
Yeah, because it was kind of a funny angle. He would just stir up trouble with wrestlers, and then two wrestlers would get in fights because backstage stirring stuff up as part of an angle.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really entertaining, and then they got rid of him before they did much.
Yeah. That Bobby Heenan should have that role in WWE right now.
Yeah, that would rock. I love Bobby Heenan.
Yeah.
And also, two more real quick things. With TNA on Fox Sports Net, can I get that on DirecTV without paying extra money, or do I have to buy one of their package scams?
I think that you have to pay extra money for the sports package. I know I get it on. I get the Fox Sports Net on my cable, and I used to get it on DirecTV, but my wife switched it to getting the HBO so she could see Sex and the City, and actually it ended up being just as well because I see the boxing anyway. But yeah, so I haven't gotten the sports package. You might get your local one. I'm not sure. You might get your local station, but you don't get all the other.
Right, since I live in the D.C. area, I might get the Baltimore Comcast one, or.
Yeah, you might. I wonder. I may be able to get Fox Sports Bay Area, maybe on the DirecTV, but I know I don't get Sunshine Network and all those other networks that that I used to, because I used to get all of them.
Because I originally bought the thing, and then there was some Puerto Rico wrestling on there.
Yeah, they have IWA from Puerto Rico, and they have Sunshine has what's the other stuff? Well, they have the TNA Explosion, and they got I think Maximum Pro now too.
Really? Maybe I'll buy it again though, because it was $10, and my TiVo was only taping one extra wrestling thing once a week, and I was $10. Is it really worth it? But maybe I'll get it for the first month to see what the TNA Explosion show is going to be.
Well, it's not going to be called Explosion. I mean, Explosion, they're going to keep Explosion, but they're going to add this new show, and I don't know what the name is. I don't think that they have a name for it yet, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And also, too, you might think this is a stupid question, but does the cat own Call My Mama?
The cat?
Yeah, the cat Ernest Miller.
Call My Mama. I have no clue.
Because, I went there, and it was
oh boy,
he's selling long distance, and I was man, I wonder if he owns this.
Probably not.
Okay, I know that last question seemed probably dumb, but thanks, man.
Yes. Okay. All right, thanks a bunch, Steve. All right, we're gonna go. Let's see. Go some emails here. This is from Edward.
The cat does not own CallMyMama.com.
Yeah.
I did some research.
Okay. Well, that took a second. Edward in Minneapolis wants to know, in your opinion, who was the wrestler of the 70s? That's a tough question. Inoki.
Yeah?
I would say most important. Yeah. Most important wrestler of the 70s, I'd say Inoki. What was the best match of the 70s?
His big box set that's coming out, 12 DVDs.
Oh, the $500 one?
Yeah. There's no Ali match on there, is there?
No, it's the only famous match he had that's not on.
What a shocker.
Yeah, that's not on the DVD. It's the only one. It's got every other famous match he ever had. Isn't that amazing? What was the best match of the 70s? God, the problem with the 70s is that all of the really great matches took place at arenas, and almost none of them were ever filmed. So it's not like the 90s and now where every great match is on a pay-per-view or at a television taping because they just don't work as hard when the cameras are off. So we're going to, if there's a great match, you're going to find out about it and everyone's going to see it. I mean, in the 70s, the odds are that it's like when Flair was talking about Steamboat, and they talk about the matches that are on the DVD, and Flair goes, we had 100 other matches that were just as good that nobody remembers except for the people in the house show. And I think that's the answer as far as the 70s go. I mean, Inoki Billy Robinson was really great. Jack Briscoe, Dory Funk Jr. had a zillion matches that were reputed to be the best of their era, and I'd seen some, and they were awfully good. So, I don't know. Brian, I mean, is there anything that you see from the 70s that stands out?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Well, okay. Well, you're right. I probably am. Okay, let's go. Let's see. Simon Allen goes, I have to admit, I would have thought Stephanie would have been back on the air by now, and I'm just wondering if you know why she, all of a sudden, she decided to stay off. Well, actually, Stephanie just had like a nasal surgery, so I think that she's got to heal. Although she was on the road this weekend. So
well,
hope
that was her
at the Raw shows. You know what's funny is I tell you the story. It actually was yesterday. Today they had a show in Odessa, Texas, and I think that they've got to drive. Okay, I think they were in Lubbock last night, and so tonight they're in Odessa, and then tomorrow they got to be in Phoenix. Which is the life of a wrestler. And I think that the deal is, and I could be wrong, but I think that they're driving from Odessa to Lubbock and then flying to Phoenix. And Stephanie was really upset because, it's like a 4-hour drive and then a flight to get to TV tomorrow. Not realizing that, for these guys, that's like
their life.
That's the life on the road.
She needs to pay her dues.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, this is May 22nd, 2003. Mr. America against Sean O'Hare. Sean O'Hare won the match on a countout when Mr. America was counted out of the ring because they were arresting Zach Allen. That's from Marcus Holzer, listening from Austria. Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. We actually had several other people also sent that in, but I had to use the most exotic one. So, anyway.
Lie about your hometown.
What? Yeah, I know. Say you're from France, and you'll get your name spoken for sure. This is from Malik Seeley in Des Moines, who goes, an earlier caller mentioned beefs between wrestlers. What's your beef with Vampiro? I got no beef with Vampiro at all. I'm not sure where that one came from. Other than Vampiro is his own worst enemy at times, and sometimes I have to point that out. But I get along with him great. I mean, if you remember the show, we've had him on the show several times. Yeah. This is from Tom. You're going to love this one, Brian. You were talking about Eugene a few minutes ago. Would it make more sense, and rather than have him work a good WWE style, why not give him a Johnny Saint? Do you know who Johnny Saint is, Brian?
Johnny Saint?
Johnny Saint is a legendary British wrestler from the 70s. Actually, is probably in his 50s now and still wrestles. But he was like the technical wrestling marvel of his era. So why not give him a Johnny Saint style and lucha submissions to get over the fact that he is retarded by doing wacky moves that freak people out? Now, you are thinking so different than anyone in WWF or WWE would ever think. I just got to say that. I mean, they are so, what's the word I'm looking for? Ethnocentric. When it comes to other styles of wrestling, they think that that's like, the vampires and they're the ones holding the cross. I mean, whether it's Japanese style or, every style is wrong but their style. So you want them to use this guy to get over by incorporating somebody else's style. I mean, look at what they're doing, what they did, not doing. Look at what they did to Ultimo Dragon because they thought he was doing too much lucha. And then they were making fun of him in the commentary. Yeah, he's doing too much lucha.
Yeah.
Let's see. Who's going to be Chavo's opponent on SmackDown Tuesday? I don't know.
I would challenge anybody in the whole world.
Yeah, it seemed like a good setup for Jeff Hardy, and that's what a lot of people have been theorizing. But I was under the impression that Hardy think it wasn't that close. Although Jim Ross did talk about it on Thursday, right? Or a week ago Thursday. That they've talked to Jeff Hardy about coming back. It could be, it could be. Because I think that they're going to introduce somebody new. So who else would it be?
Well, it makes the most sense to introduce somebody new with the... It's Hirohito!
It's not going to be Hirohito.
They think he's a cruiserweight, too, while they're at it.
He's too big to be a cruiserweight.
They don't know that. If they knew anything about him,
If they knew anything about him, they wouldn't have signed him. I know what you're saying. Hey, they signed the wrong one-legged guy.
That's true.
Yeah. Let's see. This is The Rock scheduled to wrestle at any time this year? No, he's got no more matches scheduled, actually, ever. Although I'm sure he will wrestle again, but there's nothing else scheduled. Which of the Hearts owns Stu's house? It's being sold. They all own. I think they're all going to be like dividing it up into.
They all own a room.
Yeah, they all own like a percentage, so it's going to be divided up among all the kids. And if you had to pick, what would you say was Hulk Hogan's best ever match? Which is Hulk Hogan's best ever match?
Hogan's best ever match.
Maybe one of the matches with Savage in the 80s. I think I remember a Hogan Savage match maybe in Madison Square Garden or
maybe one of them with Flair.
What?
Flair?
Yeah, very cool. He had some good ones with Flair. Real good. The pay-per-view ones in WCW were better than any of the ones in WWF.
Yeah.
But those were all house show matches. Yeah, I think a Hogan Savage Garden match may have been.
How about that Stan Hansen one?
That was good.
People always recall that match.
That was good because, Tokyo Dome and everything, but I don't think that was Hogan's best match ever. I think that match was sort of overrated because it was in Japan.
Yeah.
There was Hogan and what's the guy? Ultimate Warrior. I mean, for Hogan's own personal performance.
Yeah, that was.
I mean,
talking about the first one or the second one?
Oh, yeah, right. I'm talking about the second one. Yeah, the second one might have been Hogan's worst ever match. You know that?
Yeah, it could have been.
That was one of the worst. That one in
the Fall Brawl the month before.
No, the other one of Hogan's worst ever matches was that. Remember that 2-on-8 triple decker cage?
Yeah,
that was one of the worst matches ever.
Yeah.
So, let's see what else we got here. Ben, I read a while ago Turner wants to get back in wrestling, but cannot until March 2005 due to a non-compete clause. What I can tell you about that is that is not. Both are not true in the sense of. I don't know that there's any serious interest of him getting back into wrestling at all. I've asked around to people who would have to know, and they don't know anything. And Turner could have gotten into wrestling. I mean, there's no non-compete on Turner. There's a non-compete on the TV stations, TBS and TNT, which goes through 2006. But Turner himself never signed a non-compete with Vince when they sold the company because it was not Turner who was selling the company. And in fact, when Jarrett was starting, this company, I mean, they had a meeting with not with Turner himself, but with Turner's people to finance the company. So, and the Turner people turned them down, but, they listened to the proposal and everything like that. So there's nothing that's keeping them out other than the fact that, Ted is old, and I don't know that he wants to get started in a new business at this point, especially one that's going to lose a lot of money at first.
Yeah.
But it would be great if it happened, and, that's everyone's like kind of fantasy. Ted's going to get back in, and, we'll have competition again. But I'm afraid that as long as Ted's alive, we'll probably hear that, and I think it's probably similar to we're going to go back to territories in a couple of years, and that's not going to happen. We're going to go to a break right now. We're back to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're here every Sunday night, 8 to 10 Eastern Time, 5 to 7 Pacific Time, talking about pro wrestling, mixed martial arts, and all that good stuff. Bryan, I don't know. I guess I'll put you on the spot. Buys for the next pay-per-view, for the Bradshaw Eddie Guerrero match.
215,000.
250?
No, 215.
Okay. I think you're high.
Uh-oh.
I think you're way high. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But I think you're high. Let's see. Matt Feuerstein says, based on the first 4 months of 2004, would you say that Chris Benoit is currently the front runner for Wrestler of the Year? What do you think, Bryan?
I mean, probably.
Very strong.
Other options.
The only ones that pop in my head are Kenny Kobashi and Eddie Guerrero.
Remember back in the day where
maybe Triple H?
When Wrestler of the Year was coming up and there were like 100 options? It was like, God.
Actually, I don't remember that because usually there's usually one.
Well, I mean, there were a lot of possibilities.
In 2000, I remember there was 4, and then other years there have been 2 or 3. I don't know. But to me, I mean, up until if you go up until WrestleMania, Eddie Guerrero would be ahead of Benoit. I would only say that Benoit would be ahead of Guerrero since WrestleMania. Benoit would be ahead of Guerrero because he's been booked in better programs and been put in a situation where he can look better.
Yeah.
So we're pretty much almost out of time. Second, how much do you feel Triple H has helped his Hall of Fame candidacy this year? He's helped it. But I don't know. Bryan and I had a long talk about this.
Yes, we did.
Just a couple of weeks ago when we were in Vegas. I don't think that...
Amongst most people, he hasn't done anything to help it.
I think the people who don't want to vote for him can easily deny anything that he's done this year has helped it. It's going to be very interesting, this year's Hall of Fame, for just a lot of reasons. Especially, there's a lot of candidates that are going to be very interested and I wonder if there's going to be... My prediction is there's going to be a big divisive thing between groups. Anyway, we're totally out of time. We'll be back next week. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network.